Hello friends, I just came from a meeting with the staff at Maine Farmland Trust where we discussed agricultural easement. I think an agricultural easement may be a good thing for our farm.
What's an agricultural easements? Will that benefits our farm?
So here in the US, when you buy land, you can do whatever you want with it as long as it's not prevented by local laws. For example, you can usually build structures wherever you want. You can cut trees to sell. You could divide off pieces of land and sell them to other people. Of course, there are different regulations and oversight in different towns. But generally, once you own property, you have a lot of freedom to do with it as you wish. An agricultural easement is a legal agreement that puts restrictions on what property owner can do with their land. An agricultural easement is designed to prevent a landowner from doing things with their property that diminishes its value as a productive farmland. The point is to prevent property from being converted from farmland into other types of developments, like houses, parking lot, or non-agricultural business. The soil, forest, water sources, and natural habitats will be protected. Even if we sold the land, future owners would also have to follow the restrictions of the agricultural easement. And they also wouldn't be able to develop the property for anything except agriculture. Maine Farmland Trust often works with farmers to purchase agricultural easement on farms. So protecting a farm from an agricultural easement can definitely be rewarding for a farmer.
What kind of restrictions are in agricultural easements?
The restrictions are designed to protect the agricultural values of the property, such as open field, good soil, and forest land. The easements will restrict or prohibit dividing the land, selling parts of it separate from the rest of the farm. We will identify areas of the property where future permanent buildings, such as those on foundations, can be constructed, while permitting temporary structures for farming such as sheds, livestock shelters, or hoop houses to be located anywhere on the property. The easement will require that the fields are maintained as open field and not allowed to become overgrown with shrubs and small trees. It will also ensure that any forest management activities are done in a suitable way. Once there is an agricultural easement in place, Maine Farmland Trust has the responsibility to make sure the property is in compliance with the terms of easement. We would be legally bound to follow the restrictions of the easement. What's written into the easement is permanent.
Why is Maine Farmland Trust willing to pay us for granting an agricultural easement?
Without restriction of an agricultural easement, the property is worth more than what it's worth once the agricultural easement is in place. This is because without an agricultural easement, a further owner could do all kinds of things with the property to make it big profit. For example, someone could buy land and build houses to sell on it, or a hotel or a gas station. If an easement is in place, this is not possible, so the property becomes worthless on the real estate market. The difference between what the property is worth before and after the easement is the value of the agricultural easement. Maine Farmland Trust has programs that can pay a landowner some or all of the value of the agricultural easement. This is one way Maine Farmland Trust help farmers all over Maine and ensure that the state farmland is not lost to development.
What if we want to add a field or another greenhouse or a barn?
Generally speaking, agricultural easements are written to accommodate changes that a farmer needs to make to the property to benefit the farm, as long as they don't impact the property's farmland value in a negative way. In the future, we would work with Maine Farmland Trust when we have changes planned for the farm to make sure everything is allowed by the easement. Some of these future changes are taken into account when we write the easement. For example, we can identify areas where may be built in the future. For example, a barn or a farmer house. We also write in what we will restrict. For example, only a certain amount of house may be permitted, or they could be restricted for a certain size.
Will an agricultural easement change our ownership of the land? What will our relationship be with Maine Farmland Trust?
We will still own the land, but there would be restrictions in place on some of the things that we can do. Since we don't plan to divide the land, sell it, or develop it out of agriculture, these restrictions should not prevent us from doing anything we have planned. We can still sell the farm, lease it, or pass it into our children. They say the easement runs with the land. The easement lasts forever and is recorded with all of the land ownership records of the country. A Maine Farmland Trust staff person will visit annually to ensure that the landowner are making improvements such as new buildings in a way that complies with the easement. In addition to making sure the land are complying with the easement, Maine Farmland Trust will work with the next owner to make sure they understand what it means to own a farm with an easement. MFT staff are also there to answer questions and help landowner find resources that can support their farm goals.
Why would we sell an agricultural easement on the farm?
Having Maine Farmland Trust purchase an easement on our farm is one way to raise money that can use to invest in the farm business. It also means that our farmland will never be developed and will always be available for use as a farm.
If we want to sell the farm someday, how will the agricultural easement affect that process?
Because the property is protected with an agricultural easement, it will not be of interest to potential buyers who wish to develop the property. But these restrictions should not be a problem for any buyer that wants to continue farming the land. We could also include an OPAV, the option to purchase agricultural value, in the agricultural easement. With an option to buy agricultural value as part of the easement, future potential buyers would have to be farmers or have to submit a complete plan to farm property to Maine Farmland Trust before purchasing it. And if the buyer isn't a qualified farmer with an approved plan, Maine Farmland Trust has the option to stop in and buy the property and then resell it to a farmer.
We have many friends who are Wabanaki people who also have a difficult accessing farmland in Maine. How will this agricultural easement apply to the reputational future use of the farm?
Agricultural easement would make it clear that nothing in the easement prohibits us from allowing indigenous use of the property for agricultural activities or cultural use, including harvesting of plants and animals for sustenance, medicinal craft, and ceremonial activities, and that farm may be used for tribal cultural purposes with the landowner's permission.
What if we wanted to protect some of the farm with agricultural easement and leave part of the property out of the easement area?
Before we put an easement on our land, we can decide to leave some of our property out of easement so that some of our land will not have the easement restrictions and we have more flexibility. Leaving part of the property out of an easement will impact what we are paid for the easement. We can work with Maine Farmland Trust to figure out there is part of our property that can be left out without reducing the payment by very much.
This all sounds wonderful but legally complicated. Do we need a lawyer? What other support does Maine Farmland Trust offer?
We should hire a lawyer to represent our best interest. I've had the Legal Food Hub and other organizations provide quality representations at no cost. Maine Farmland Trust can also offer farmers assistance with things like business planning and planning for climate change.
Are there fees? Does it affect our taxes?
Maine Farmland Trust typically covers most or all of the expenses associated with easement, like appraisals, drafting easement documents, title work, closing costs, recording documents, and the cost of the future stewardship of enforcement of the easement.
Thank you. If we wanted to move forward with this, what would be the next step?
I think it makes sense to have a meeting with the farmers, the board, the community members that access the land at Liberation Farm. We will discuss our 5, 10, and 20-year plan for the farm and which activities we would like to permanently allow and prohibit. We can decide if we want to preserve the whole property or leave part of the easement that could be sold separately or developed differently in the future. Most importantly, we must all agree on reasons why protecting this land is so valuable for our community, agriculture, the planet, and future generations.